The human brain is biologically programmed to perceive the cold shoulder not as a signal to walk away, but as a biological command to hunt. When someone rejects you, your brain does not register incompatibility. It registers a sudden, catastrophic drop in your social market value that your survival drive refuses to accept. You are not actually in love with them. You are experiencing a chemical emergency triggered by a neural system that evolved to keep you from being abandoned by your tribe. Over the next few minutes, we are going to peel back the layers of this frustrating psychological trap to understand the exact neurological wiring that turns a simple text message silence into an agonizing, all-consuming obsession. We will look at how your dopamine pathways hijack your rational mind through a process called intermittent reinforcement, and how your amygdala interprets being ignored as an existential threat. By the time we are done, you will finally understand why your brain treats their indifference as the ultimate prize, and how you can reclaim control of your own biochemistry. Let us start with the everyday nightmare of waiting for a text message. You check your phone, nothing. 10 minutes pass, then an hour, then a whole day. Your chest feels tight, your focus is entirely shattered, and your mind is spinning a web of endless questions about what you did wrong. But then, out of nowhere, your screen lights up with their name. A rush of pure electric relief floods your entire body. Why does that tiny blue bubble feel like winning the lottery? To understand this, we have to look at the brain of a laboratory animal in a cage, operating under a concept discovered by the legendary psychologist B.F. Skinner in the 1950s. Skinner placed pigeons in boxes with a small key that, when pecked, released food. In the first setup, every single peck of the key yielded a pellet of food. The pigeons pecked the key only when they were hungry, completely calm and predictable. But then Skinner changed the rules. He made the food release completely random. Sometimes the key produced a pellet, sometimes it did nothing at all. What happened next shocked the scientific world. The pigeons became completely obsessed. They stood at the key, pecking it continuously, ignoring their basic survival needs, entirely consumed by the pursuit of the next unpredictable reward. They pecked many times more often when the reward was uncertain than when it was guaranteed. This is what psychologists call intermittent reinforcement, and it is the exact same mechanism that keeps people pulling the lever of a slot machine in Las Vegas for 12 hours straight. Dopamine is not the molecule of pleasure. That is the great lie of popular culture. Dopamine is the molecule of anticipation. It is the chemical of more. Neuroscientist Wolfram Schultz, in his landmark 1997 study on reward prediction error, discovered that dopamine neurons fire most intensely not when we actually receive a reward, but when there is a massive uncertainty about whether we will get it. When someone is consistently nice to you, your brain predicts the reward. The dopamine fires once and then it goes quiet. There is no mystery, no challenge, and therefore no obsession. But when someone is inconsistently available, warm one day and ice cold the next, your brain's reward prediction engine goes haywire. Suddenly, every interaction is a high-stakes gamble. The silence of their rejection starves your brain of dopamine, creating a painful chemical deficit. When they finally do throw you a crumb of attention, your dopamine pathways explode with a surge of activity that is far more powerful than anything you would feel from someone who is stable and loving. You are not addicted to the person. You are addicted to the relief of their occasional validation. Think of it like a path worn into a grassy field. The first time you experience this roller coaster, your brain carves a tiny pathway. The more you chase that unpredictable reward, the deeper that path becomes, until it is a massive, muddy trench that your thoughts fall into automatically. You are trapped in a biological loop, running on a program designed to seek out scarce resources. It is a chemical illusion. Now, let us turn up the heat and look at the terrifyingly primitive side of this mechanism. Why does your brain interpret their coldness not just as a mild annoyance, but as an absolute crisis? To our ancient ancestors, being cast out from the tribe was a literal death sentence. If you were rejected by the group, You could not hunt, you could not find shelter, and you would inevitably become prey. Your brain's ancient threat detection system, the amygdala, does not know the difference between being banished to the frozen tundra and being left on read on a messaging application. It processes social rejection in the exact same neural pathways that register physical pain. When someone pulls away from you, your brain does not think, "Oh, they must be busy." It thinks, "We are about to die in the wilderness." This triggers a massive stress response. Your cortisol levels spike, your heart rate increases, your ancient brain goes into a high-stakes survival mode. And how do you survive? By fighting to get back into their good graces. The rejection activates a cognitive bias known as the scarcity heuristic. When something is rare, difficult to obtain, or slipping away, our brains automatically assign it an astronomical value. It is the exact same reason people fight over cheap televisions on Black Friday, or why diamond companies artificially limit supply to make a common rock seem priceless. Your brain has applied this exact economic model to a human being. In a fascinating 2010 study led by anthropologist Helen Fisher, researchers placed heartbroken individuals, people who had recently been rejected by their partners but were still desperately in love, into an fMRI brain scanner. The results were staggering. When these rejected individuals looked at photos of their rejectors, the brain scans showed massive activation in the ventral tegmental area and the nucleus accumbens. These are the deepest, most primal reward centers of the brain, the exact same areas that light up when a cocaine addict is craving another hit. Think about the sheer madness of this. Your brain is reacting to a person who does not want you with the same chemical desperation as a severe substance dependency. Before you understood this, you probably thought you were chasing them because they were your soulmate, because they were uniquely beautiful, or because nobody else could ever compare to them. You felt like a helpless romantic, swept up in a tragic, poetic love story. But look at the clinical reality. After understanding this science, you can see that you are simply a biological machine running an outdated survival program. You are not experiencing destiny, you are experiencing withdrawal. The high-value aura you have wrapped around this person is nothing more than a projection of your own starved dopamine pathways. How many hours of your life have you wasted trying to decode a 3-word text message? So, how do you break this biological stranglehold? How do you stop running after a carriage that is never going to stop for you? You cannot simply tell yourself to stop caring. Your conscious mind is no match for your ancient survival loops. You have to actively outsmart the machinery. First, you must implement what we call the dopamine detox of absence. You have to cut off the gambler's lever entirely. When you continue to check their social media, look at old photos, or wait for their messages, you are keeping those dopamine pathways highly sensitized. You are giving the slot machine another pull. Every single peek into their digital life is a tiny, volatile microdose of hope that resets your biological recovery clock back to zero. To heal, you must make the reward completely unavailable. This means blocking, muting, or deleting, not out of anger or drama, but out of strict clinical necessity to let your dopamine receptors reset to their baseline level. It takes roughly 21 days of complete non-contact for these hypersensitized neural pathways to begin quietening down. Give your brain the silence it desperately needs to heal. Second, use the chemical labeling technique. The next time you feel that intense, agonizing urge to reach out to them, stop and perform a mental scan. Do not tell yourself, "I miss them so much." Instead, state the cold, hard biological truth aloud. Say to yourself, "My brain is currently experiencing a dopamine deficit, and my amygdala is falsely signaling a survival threat." This simple cognitive shift moves the experience from the emotional, reactive limbic system to the logical prefrontal cortex. By naming the chemical process, you strip the feeling of its romantic power. You realize that you do not actually miss the person. You are simply experiencing a temporary drop in neurotransmitters. Third, you must actively deploy the abundance counter-strategy. Because your brain has hyper-focused on this single, scarce source of validation, you must manually flood your environment with predictable, healthy dopamine. Re-engage with stable, secure relationships, the friends and family members who always answer your calls, whose love is boringly consistent. Yes, boring. To a dopamine-addicted brain, healthy, consistent love feels unexciting at first, but you must force yourself to bathe in that stability. Pursue high-achieving, predictable goals that reward you based on your own effort, like physical fitness, creative projects, or learning a difficult skill. By diversifying your reward portfolio, you teach your brain that it does not need to beg for crumbs from a single stingy source to survive. The person you think you cannot live without is actually just a human mirror reflecting your own deepest insecurities. Take a deep breath and look back at the version of yourself that was crying over a silent phone. You probably felt incredibly weak. You probably felt small, foolish, and deeply ashamed of how much power you gave to someone who barely even saw you. You might have wondered if there was something fundamentally broken inside of you that made you crave rejection. But look at the truth we have uncovered today. You were never weak. You were never pathetic. You were simply possessed by an incredibly powerful, beautifully designed evolutionary survival system that was doing exactly what it was built to do: keep you connected, keep you striving, and keep you alive. Your brain was just using an ancient map to navigate a modern world. But now the blindfold is off. You no longer have to be the helpless pigeon endlessly pounding the lever of an empty feeder. You can step out of the cage. When you look at that person now, you do not see a godlike figure of unattainable perfection. You see an ordinary human being who simply happened to trigger an accidental chemical storm in your head. The magic was never in them. The magic was always inside your own chemistry. Read that last sentence of your mind's history again. Let that truth wash over you. You now hold the keys to your own biological machinery. Use this knowledge to reclaim your attention, your energy, and your self-worth. If you are ready to stop being a passenger to your primitive impulses and start driving your own mind, subscribe to Habit Decoded. We are dismantling the hidden programs of human behavior, one layer at a time. In our next journey together, we will explore a terrifyingly quiet cognitive glitch that quietly rewrites your memories every single night, changing who you think you are without you ever realizing it. Until then, stay curious, watch your loops, and keep decoding your mind.